Whenever you put yourself out there, whenever you put anything on the internet, whenever you put anything on a podcast, you open yourself up to criticism.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
The honest truth is I mostly let these negative comments roll off my back. I delete them, I move on, I don't really address them, and I got to address one today because it's one that's recurring, it's one that keeps coming up, it's one that I've just got to get it out there. And frankly, 99% of my naysayers are not going to believe anything I say, but I'm going to do it anyway. I want to remind you, of course, that we are sponsored by Alamode Software. Alamode is the software that I've been using for a long, long time. You should be too. Go to alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. And Datamaster. Datamaster is the ability to save almost 60 minutes per report. Every single report. It's awesome. Go to datamasterusa.com. Again, it's datamasterusa.com. And OREP. OREP is the E&O insurance that I am using and love it. Absolutely love it. You will too. The benefits that come with it are amazing. I'll talk about a few of those in just a little bit. But first, go to orep.org. That's OREP.org for more information. Okay. Here's the thing. When I about 7 years ago decided that I wanted to teach other appraisers some of the same systems that I had developed and have been using in my office for years. And by the way, that was not an easy process, obviously. I, for many, many years, were like any other appraiser. I was working paycheck to paycheck, literally. The furnace would go out and I would be up all night just stressed because we didn't have the finances to pay for something like that. Or the transmission would go out in the car and it was just the end of the world. And it just was not a way that I wanted to live my life the rest of my life. And so I thought, you know what, Dustin, what are you going to do different? I once heard, I think it was Brian Tracy once said, when the crowd is running one way, one thing you know for sure, you should be running the opposite direction. And I think there's some truth in that. I really do. I think that there is this idea that many people, myself included, I'm human like everybody else. We sometimes work off of fear, and we sometimes allow that fear to well up inside us so much so that we act on that fear. And that's usually not a good idea. It's just usually not a good idea. And well, you've heard me say this before, that fear is a great motivator, but it's a poor problem solver. And I'm absolutely convinced that fear is there for a purpose. We shouldn't not recognize it. If something happens or something's on the horizon that's a possibility. I mean, our natural born instinct is to the fight or flight, get ready. Something's coming and we need to be ready. But when you make decisions based on that fear, you're going to end up making poor decisions. The fear should motivate you to want to do something different, but your problem-solving ability, your logical brain, is different than your lizard brain, and you need to make sure that you're listening to that logic and making sure that you're doing things that are going to sustain you, right? Okay. I set that up because I see a lot of my appraiser friends in the same situation that I was in for many, many years. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that I wasn't born the appraiser coach. I haven't always been following the principles and values that I developed as part of the coaching and mentoring program that I have out there. There was a long period of time when it was really a struggle to be an appraiser. And frankly, I turned that upside down. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. I'm saying this because it's the honest truth. You can see the results on my website. When I first started coaching, I was in a mastermind, and I said, it's one thing for me to go out there and say, hey, here's where I was before and here's where I am now, and this is why you should listen to me. It's a whole other thing to prove it. And so I did something crazy that every single one of my mastermind students said, not students, but members. We were all on equal footing with each other in this mastermind. And we were not appraisers, by the way. I was the only appraiser in that group. And I said, I really want to coach other appraisers. I love to teach, and I think I've got something to say that's important. And I want to share what I've learned over the last few years. But credibility, I don't have anything to point to other than my own success. And I think that what I want to do is show what my tax returns were a few years ago and show what they are now. And everybody thought I was crazy. My accountant was actually in that group, and he said, "Dustin, don't do that." And I said, "Okay, why?" And he says, you just open yourself up to so much on the identity fraud platform when you throw your tax returns on the site." I said, "Listen, Corbett, I will erase your name. I will erase my name. I will scratch out my identification number, my social security number, all of this stuff." I said, "I just don't see why I want to be able to show that there's some credibility in what I do." Anyway, he said, "Okay, well, fine. I guess if you take away the pertinent information, if you redact that information, then maybe it's an okay idea." And that's what I did. And I've been able to teach appraisers for the last 7 years how to not live paycheck to paycheck, to not do what I was doing for so many years. I've taught them principles of prosperity that have allowed them to elevate their businesses, elevate their lives, and really live a very, very comfortable lifestyle. My mastermind sessions are going across the nation. And man, I just love the opportunity to watch appraisers change their lives. It's not me, it's them. But the principles that they're learning and the methodologies and the practices that are taught in those sessions are allowing appraisers to change their lives and actually love what they do again. And I love doing that. And part of that is to put myself out there. Part of that is just to bare myself naked like I did with the tax returns and just say, you know what? I'm going to be transparent with you. I'm not going to be one of these gurus, if you want to use that word, that tell you what you want to hear. One of the big criticisms that I received in the very beginning was, if you're so successful as an appraiser, why the hell are you teaching? Why are you selling courses and having masterminds and everything else? And folks, the honest truth is, believe me or not believe me, but I'm telling you, the honest truth is that I do well as an appraiser. And if that was enough, financially, that's enough for me. I'm able to live a very comfortable lifestyle just as an appraiser, but it's not my first love in life. It never has been. I like appraising. I would even say I love appraising, but it's not my mission in life. My mission in life is to teach. It always has been. From the time I was very small, I knew I would be a teacher. I was a full-time teacher in the public school system for years. And that came with some other problems, obviously, that are inherent in that situation. But I love teaching. I'll tell you, I love teaching my fellow business owners much more than I love teaching public school for obvious reasons. Maybe not obvious to some of you. Maybe you are into that. I wasn't. I loved to teach. I didn't like the discipline aspect and the dealing with parents and parent teacher conferences and all of that jazz. But I loved the teaching aspect. I loved preparing lessons, and I loved being able to present that, and it honed my skills, and it allowed me to be able to I think, develop a talent for teaching. And it's something that I love. It's something that I feel passionate about because I know it changes lives. And I know sharing this information is just naturally in my DNA. I can't learn something that is successful, that is allowing me to do more with less and then keep it to myself. I just can't. That's not in my nature. And so that's why I'm an appraiser coach. That's why I self-branded and started coaching and mentoring. And that's why I do private sessions with appraisers across the nation, a couple of those a week. That's why I do this podcast. That's why I put out blog posts. That's why I hold mastermind groups. That's why I do the Appraiser Academy and the All-Star Team and all of this stuff, because I am passionate about what I'm teaching. And I love helping change the lives of appraisers across the country. Now, I tell you all of that because I want to set this up, and set this up I will. When I decided to coach and teach other people, I knew for a fact that I painted a target on my chest. I absolutely knew that was going to happen. Whenever you put yourself out there, whenever you put anything on the internet, whenever you put anything on a podcast, you open yourself up to criticism. I was not prepared. The honest truth is I was not prepared for what was going to come my way. I mean, downright personal attacks on me and my family, just hateful, spiteful criticisms and euphemisms, and the ad hominem attacks just went on and on and on, especially in the beginning. I mean, I had one guy out of Florida that was just nasty. He ran a website that his whole purpose was to bring down the appraisal industry, and he saw me as a target and just did some really, really nasty things, even just despicable. I won't even go into despicable things to me and my family. And I'll be honest with you, folks, it really bugged me. It really bugged me because I looked at myself as being an individual that just wanted to help, really. And I thought, man, what is the deal with this guy? And what is the deal? I actually created a folder on my Gmail account called hate mail. And every time I got hate mail, I would just drop it in that folder. Just, I don't even know why. I just did. I just thought it would be interesting to collect all of the hate mail. And to be honest with you, it got so ridiculous and cumbersome and just depressing that I finally just deleted the folder. And I went for a very long time not even responding to these things. And I think that helped, honestly. It helped me to have a better constitution about life. It helped me to be able to feel free, or more free as the case may be, to be able to put myself out there and not worry so much about the backlash. And I thought, you know what? Bad press. No, there's no such thing as bad press, right? They say. I don't know. I didn't feel that way. I felt like there was such thing as bad press because it sure made me feel bad, right? I remember very clearly, I was on a vacation with my family in Yellowstone Park, which is not too far from where we live. And we had spent the day in Yellowstone Park, and there was very, very limited internet access. And I'd put a blog post out there that I knew would be a little bit controversial, but I had no idea. And this was in the beginning years. And I just remember this day very clearly, that the whole frickin' day was ruined because every time I got a little bit of internet, all of a sudden all my emails would download, and it was just hateful comment after hateful comment after hateful comment. I thought, oh, and I just let it dwell on me, and I just kept thinking about it, and just and when I didn't have internet, instead of enjoying the beauty of the nature and seeing elk and bison and waterfalls and all of these wonderful things with my family, I was just thinking about all this hate mail that was coming at me, and it just really, really bugged me. Well, folks, I had to get to the point that I got some very, very tough skin. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes the comments bother me, especially when they get personal. It makes me wonder. It really does. And some things, a lot of things just don't bug me anymore. They don't, because I've been doing this long enough and just realized that it's just part of the game, right? And I would never discourage anybody from commenting on my blog or on the podcast or what have you. I think it's very important that we have this open dialogue. And over the years, I'll be honest with you, I've learned a lot. I've learned a ton from you, especially the naysayers, especially those that disagree with me. There's a principle taught by Abraham Lincoln. I don't know if you all know this story, but he had a very, very hard-fought campaign with Stephen Douglas. And he gained a lot of enemies in that process. There was a lot of people that did not like Abraham Lincoln. I mean, there's very few people looking back today and they say, man, what a jerk Lincoln was. I can't even, most people look at Lincoln in high esteem, right? These days. I'm telling you, he did not have a lot of popularity when he first took office. And some of the things that he did in office were very controversial. And frankly, there's some things he did in office that I don't agree with. It was hard times and he had to do some hard things. But some of the things I look back on, I think, holy moly. But nonetheless, that's off in the weeds. That's beside the point. My point is this. When he got into office, he did a very brave and wise thing and smart thing. He surrounded himself with his enemies. His cabinet was made up of individuals that disagreed with him vehemently in the campaign. And when he was asked about it, and I'm paraphrasing, he said something about an echo chamber. I don't think he actually used that term. That's a fairly modern term. But he said something about the inability to lead if you surround yourself with yes men. The inability to lead if you surrounded yourself by people who never disagree with you. And man, I think there's some wisdom in that. And I've tried to take that to heart. And I try to live my life so that I surround myself with people that have different views. And I'll tell you, over the years, I have changed my views on a great number of things. And thank you. Thank you to those of you who disagree with me. Thank you for those of you who reach out and say, hey, Dustin, you're wrong here, and let me show you where I'm wrong. Now, one thing I don't have a lot of patience for, just to be honest, and I've just had to learn to deal with it because I can't control how other people are going to react. But I don't have a lot of patience with rude people, with condescending, with name calling, with different things that I just don't. Man, I just don't see the purpose. I really don't. If you want to get your point across, get your point across. Now, I'll be honest with you. I sometimes get a little sarcastic myself. In fact, I don't normally even share what's on my blog and on my podcast comments with my wife. But last night we were coming home from a movie with the family, and I just laughed out loud at a comment that was made, and I wrote a response. And you know what my wife said? She said, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "Do what?" She goes, "Why did you respond that way?" And I said, "Because look what he said." And she's like, "You sound like a 6-year-old." And I love my wife. Thank you, hun. I love you to death. And I'm glad that she brings me to earth sometime because she's right. I did sound like a 6-year-old. I'm going to tell you what my response was, and I'm going to tell you what the comment was from him as well. And I freely admit it. I was immature in my response, but sometimes I get to the point that's just like I feel so apathetic about the comments that are coming in that I respond, and sometimes I don't do so in a great manner, and I apologize for that. So John, I apologize up front. The way I responded was not kind, but I'm going to share John's response, and I'm going to share my response to John in just a little bit. But the point I'm going to make is, it's a bigger point than just ad hominem attacks. It's a bigger point than just commenting on the naysayers. There's a big principle to be learned here, and I can't wait to tell you that when I get back from the break. One principle that I will tell you that is important in my life is to work with companies that work with me. OREP Insurance is one of those companies. Folks, if you go to orep.org and start to look at their benefits, start to look at the things that they provide, you will be absolutely amazed at what they do. And I mean that. They are different than any other E&O company, and you're not going to pay more for that difference. Go to orep.org to find out why I say what I say about OREP. Again, it's orep, OREP.org. Been using All Mode software for over 20 years, and I'll tell you some of the features that I absolutely love. The mobile app is absolutely incredible. The ability to sketch, to take photos, to gather all the information in the field so I can upload it to the office and they can start working on that report before I even get back to the office, folks. That is absolutely amazing. The smart adjuster, the side-by-side view, the opportunity to import data directly into the report itself, not just through Data Master, but through spreadsheets and different things. The worksheet is what they call that. It can keep the whole work file within the report itself, the ability to upload to the vault and to store there. So many things available. Folks, if you're not using Alamode for your appraisal software, you need to. Go to alamode.com. Again, alamode.com, or you can pick up the phone. Yeah, what's that? It's that little thing you carry around in your hand all day long that actually dials out too, right? Dial 800 Alamode for more information against 800 Alamode. And speaking of Data Master is the opportunity to download information into your report. That's tax information, subject information, comps. You can pick your comps and download them directly into the report. Absolutely love it. You will too. Go to datamasterusa.com. Go to datamasterusa.com to find out how you can save 30 to 60 minutes per report. And we are back, folks. We are talking about the naysayers out there. I really do not usually even respond. Sometimes I get in a crabby mood, and I do. And honestly, the honest truth is, it really is the honest truth. Most of this stuff does not even bother me. It used to. That's why I set up this episode the way that I did, telling you kind of the whole backstory. There was a time that I was bothered by it. I saved all of the hate mail in a folder. And, now I usually just glance at it and delete it and move on. I figure, here's the thing, folks. If you have not learned at this point my attitude about life, let me just point it out to you, okay? And I think that you'll recognize this as you go back and listen to previous episodes or blog posts, or if you're involved in my private mentoring or my mastermind groups, you will find that I am about as open an individual as you will ever find. I don't just say that, I live that. I am very, very transparent. I would not be very good at poker. I honestly don't even know how to play poker. I've played it several times, have no clue. I don't get it. It's above my pay scale, but I just know that I would not have a very good poker face. I'm just not good at it. I would get my cards, I would put them on the table face up, and I would start sorting through them like you might do with Old Maid or what have you. And I don't keep anything close to the vest, if you will. I think that serves me well sometimes. I think that probably is to my detriment other times. But I hope that I've outlined for you a little bit of where I'm coming from as far as the naysayers out there on my blog, as far as the naysayers out there on my podcast, in other places. I usually let it roll off my back, and that is the honest truth. It might bug me a little bit, just again, to be transparent. It might, it's like kind of irks me, like, that's interesting. But the honest truth is this. Let me just share with you some marketing ideas here, okay? Again, very transparent. I'm probably sharing more than I should, but I'll just share with you. Fannie Mae says there's about 40,000 active appraisers. I believe there's probably more than that because there's some, frankly, that don't work for Fannie Mae. I think it's a minority. It's a very small percentage, but let's say there's 50,000 appraisers that are active right now. I think that's probably going to be accurate, give or take 10,000 on either side. So there's about 50,000 appraisers out there. I'll be completely honest with you, folks. The average age, they say, of an appraiser is 62. I don't know if I believe that. I don't even know where that stat comes from. It's one that I've heard repeated over and over again. It's probably one of those stats that's been repeated so much people believe it, but I don't know what the source is. I've never seen an actual source for it. But let's say that's true. Or at least let's say that the average age of an appraiser is 55 plus, right? The honest truth is most of those individuals are not going to be interested in what I have to offer, and that's okay. I'm not interested in sharing what I have to offer with people that are not interested in receiving what I have to offer. Okay. So you can kick out about, 40,000 of that 50,000 right off the top. Not that they're all old, but I would say 40,000 appraisers are very set in their ways, and they're very, very structured, and they're okay with that. They're fine with that. They don't mind that. And that's fine with me. It really is. That's completely okay with me. It's not who I'm going after. What I want to do is share this information with individuals who are willing to change. People who are struggling, appraisers who have tried to run their business and are living like I did, paycheck to paycheck, and they see what I have to offer and say, maybe there's some hope. Maybe there's some hope in changing my life. And I'm not going to brag here. I'm just going to be, again, transparent on both the negative and the positive today. On the positive side, I have been able to help multiple appraisers over the years take their business from a paycheck to paycheck situation to where they are making 3, 4, 5 times what they were making before. They've employed help. They're working less. I'm thinking of several mastermind students that have been in a long time that we just had a mastermind a couple of weeks ago with them. And both of them testified that they have changed their lives over the last couple of years being involved in my mastermind. They went from doing it all themselves and working 60 to 70, 80 hours a week, and really literally making less than $100,000 a year, to now making over $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year and working less hours. A lot less hours, because they're running a business instead of being the technician that runs the business, if you know what I mean. If you've read E-Myth, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Why do I put that out there? I put that out there because when these negative comments come in, okay. Oh, by the way, let me finish that statistic. So you've got about 40,000 appraisers that are just stuck in their ways, right? And then you've got maybe 10,000 appraisers that possibly could be interested, and probably about half of them are in a situation where I think I could help, but they either don't know about me or don't care, which is fine too. I really think that my target audience is of people that I want to teach and people that I want to learn from what I've done and been able to help other appraisers do. There's probably a handful, I would say less than 5,000 appraisers nationwide that are even in the demographic that I'm going after. So there you go. Now you know. I'm pretty bold, pretty honest, pretty open, I just laid my cards on the table, okay? Why do I do that? Because of the 50,000 appraisers out there, it's the 45,000 or maybe the 40,000, the first 40,000 we talked about that are the naysayers. They're the negative ones. They're the ones that are going to make, comments on my blog and this, that, and the other. And it used to bother me, honestly, because I thought, man, if you would just listen to my message, you'd be surprised what you could do with your life, and you wouldn't be this bitter, angry person anymore, right? And then I realized, Dustin, that guy's not the one you're going to go after anyway. That gal is part of the 40,000. Don't worry about her. Don't worry about him. And that helped. That helped because I thought, you know what? Let them be where they're at, and that's fine. Well, okay, what perpetuated this episode today? What perpetuated this episode today was last night I got a comment on my blog. By the way, this is being recorded the 27th of March, 2018, and it won't air for a couple of weeks. I know that, but I'm letting you know because last night at 8:23 p.m., John, he didn't use his full name. John commented on my blog. And, it was one of these things that's been recurring over the last few weeks. And I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I've not really addressed it. And again, I've already set this up in this episode and told you why I don't address it. Okay. He's part of the 40,000. I get that. But I'll tell you, this same theme has been recurring over and over and over again. And it's something that I want to get out there. Again, not to convince any one of you. You're going to believe what you're going to believe. But if there's a few of you out there that are a little bit confused about the comments, the purpose of today's episode is not to address John, other than to apologize for being immature. My purpose in this episode is to address the confused appraisers, those that might read my blog, might read John's comments and say, huh? What am I not getting here? My goal today is to lay it on the table and to say where I'm at and to just ask if you'll trust me. Just, again, stress that I'm a pretty open guy, okay? I'm just going to tell you where I stand. I'm going to be completely honest. I really am. I'm going to be completely honest, and I can be because I think that has been what's been successful for me. Those individuals who try to market themselves as something that they are not, or they hide behind their sponsorship. They don't say things they should because, you don't want to tick off somebody that's paying you money. That's not me. And I told my sponsors up front, if you're going to sponsor with me, you're going to get the honest truth. If I'm going to talk about a la mode, I better be damn clear about how I feel about a la mode. I am not going to get on this mic and lie. Okay. If you hear me talk about OREP insurance, you better believe I use it and you better believe I love it. That what I tell you on the mic is accurate. You better know that I am a fan of DataMaster, and they're not in every one of my areas. In fact, they're not even in the areas that I use most. Right? And I'm pretty open about that, right? The things that I say on this mic are accurate. When I talk about ANOW, it is something that I use on a daily basis. It is something I use on a weekly basis to keep track of my business and my orders, and I love it. I absolutely love it, right? And if I didn't, they would not be a sponsor here, okay? There are no AMCs that are sponsors of this program. They might be in the future. I'm open to that. Fine, whatever. But I'll tell you what, I am not going to take money from an AMC if I am absolutely not convinced that they are an A client, not a B client. If you're going to sponsor here, you better be an A client. I better absolutely love the fees that you give me. You better pay me on time. Your stipulations better be low and under the radar, right? Your engagement letter better not be 30 pages long, right? Anything that would make you a B client as opposed to an A client is going to knock you off the radar for being a sponsor. But right now, as of this recording, every one of my sponsors have been with me from the very beginning of the episodes, right? You can go back and listen. They've been with me from the very beginning. Well, ANOW wasn't in the very beginning because we didn't do minisodes in the very beginning. But as soon as we started minisodes, ANOW jumped on board. And they've been sponsoring my minisodes ever since. So a la mode, DataMaster, Working RE, OREP, and ANOW have been with me forever, right? As of this recording, I don't have any AMCs. And so I'm going to be completely open and I'm going to be completely honest here because this accusation that keeps coming, I think just needs to be addressed. Okay, fine. Dustin, Enough already. Just get to the point. Diary of the mouth. I just wanted to make sure I set this up properly. Okay, so I wrote a blog post a while ago, it was a long time ago, and John jumped on there last night, and this is John's comments. John says, quote, "I've read enough from your support groups," scrolling down. I don't even know what that means, John, but whatever. Okay. "Hi, Dustin. You are pretty good, parentheses, adequate, at damage control. Not buying it. It's so frustratingly clear that you are catering to the AMCs and other interests at our," and that's capitalized, "our expense." Okay. In other words, the accusation here that John's making is that I love AMCs more than I love appraisers, I guess. He continues, quote, "One day the AMCs sat down and said, quote, 'Wow, we are really getting slammed with bad press from appraisers. There must be an appraiser out there with a public forum that we can manipulate, control, and offer incentives to in order to make us look like we're not taking advantage of the appraisers and the innocent borrowers forced to pay more for less.'" Okay, John, I really honestly don't even know what you're saying, except it's the same thing that keeps coming up over and over again, that somehow I'm in the back pocket of AMCs. Somehow I got together with a group of AMCs and we sat in a back office and we all lit up our cigars, and there was one light bulb hanging over the table. You can kind of see the situation here. There's money sitting on the table, and it was kind of slid over to me and said, "Hey, if you'll say some good things about AMCs, then we're going to pay you a little bit," right? So this was my immature response. I did put a winky face at the end, so hopefully he took it a little tongue in cheek. This is my response. "You got me, John. Thought I could hide all the kickbacks I get from the AMCs, but you've revealed to the world who I truly am, and I almost got away with it if it wasn't for you menacing kids." By the way, my 10-year-old corrected me when I read it out loud in the car, and he said, "Dad, it's supposed to be meddling kids." So there you go. I get it from John, and I get it from my 10-year-old as well. Here's the point, folks. And this is where you're just going to have to trust me, because I have no other proof for it other than I hope that I've gained a trust with my audience over the years, that I'm a pretty open individual. I have never received one penny from any AMC to say anything more than what I say in an honesty. And the honest truth is I've never received a penny from any AMC other than for an appraisal assignment that I might have done. I have never had a conversation with any AMC where I felt like that they had asked, pressured, pushed, or even slightly commented on what I say on the air. I take a risk absolutely every day based on what I say that some AMC is going to be ticked off. And even though there are two separate businesses here, I've got the coaching side and then I've got the appraisal side, there's individuals in the AMC world that know that I work both businesses, and they listen to this podcast, and they listen and read my blog posts. And every single time I put something out there that's even slightly negative toward the AMCs, and there's a lot of it out there, John. If you'll read everything that I've put out there and listen to my podcast, you'll know that I'm not a fan of the AMCs. I take a risk every single day that they're going to say, I don't really think we ought to send business over to this guy if he's going to, say this kind of stuff about the AMC model. I've been very, very transparent about my feelings toward AMCs. I treat them like any other client. I don't care if that client is a bank down the street, an accountant, an attorney, a realtor, a for sale by owner. Anyone who hires me to do a job, I'm going to make an evaluation, and I'm going to put them in one of three categories. They're either an A client, a B client, or a Y client. There's no such thing in my mind as a C client. A C client is a Y client. If you're a new listener here, a Y client is, why the hell am I working for you? And that's the kind of client that I'm going to fire and move on from. Okay. So I only work for AMCs that I feel treat me well. I only work for realtors that I feel treat me well. I only work for homeowners that I feel treat me well. Every client that I work with is a client. And do I always love the AMC model? Absolutely not. Do I see some absolutely huge problems with the AMC model? Absolutely. John, I'm going on record, okay? I am not a fan of the AMC model, but I have been able to build a very big business working with AMCs and working with those A clients and those B clients. I don't work with a lot of B clients. Over the last couple of years, I've shifted more and more to my A clients. There's a handful that I still work for that are B clients that they're okay, but they're always on watch because a B client is always on the precipice of becoming a Y client, right? Okay. Why am I doing this episode? Get to the point, Dustin. The point is this: John, Bill, anybody out there that seems to be a naysayer, can I just be completely honest? The honest truth is I am not a shill for the AMCs. I am probably not a big fan of the AMCs. I have received comments from AMCs that they don't like some of the things that I say. And guess what? I don't care. I am not an advocate for the AMCs. I am not an advocate for appraisers. Okay? I'm an advocate for me. I'm an advocate for principles of truth. I'm an advocate, and I'll tell the reason I say I'm not a fan or not an advocate for appraisers. I'm absolutely in the business of helping appraisers to better their lives. But if I think you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. If I think that the principles and the policies and the ideas that you're promoting are incorrect, I'm going to tell you that. And as a coach, if you're going to pay me money to spend time with you and to help you improve your business, okay, a lot of people get a little shocked. In fact, I've made it a habit when I do my coaching to usually tell them, hey, you paid me for my time. You just asked me a question that I know you're not going to like the answer to, but I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. You paid me to tell you what you need to hear. And most of them will nod their heads and say, okay, yeah, I'm ready. Give it to me. And I'll be honest with it. And I'll say, Cindy, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Let me tell you why. And let me tell you a better way, right? And I'll do it in a professional, kind manner. Don't get me wrong. I probably wouldn't say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but I will tell Cindy when I don't think it's a good idea. That's why I say I'm not an advocate for appraisers. I'm an advocate for the appraisal profession, and I'm an advocate for wise appraisers doing good things that will help to change their lives and become better. But in the end, I'm an advocate for principles of truth. I'm an advocate of what I call the principles of prosperity, the values that I think are good business and will help you to be and run a successful appraisal business. Okay, so John, if you think that I'm a shill for the AMCs, the answer is I'm just not. I mean, what evidence do you have? What evidence do you have that I somehow am catering to the AMC business model? If your evidence is that 85% of my business is through the AMCs, okay. I don't see how that proves your point. The bottom line is I work for A clients, B clients. I also do not believe some of the rhetoric that is out there surrounding the AMCs, and I'm pretty vocal about that as well. So when I say something that may seem like it's in support of AMCs, everybody jumps on the bandwagon and goes, "Oh, an appraiser that's not saying only negative things about AMCs? He must be a shill for the AMCs." Or the opposite side of that is you need to understand that I've said plenty of negative things about AMCs over the years as well. I believe that it comes with both sides of the coin, that every coin has two sides. And I think that if we want to be successful as business owners, if we want to be able to move forward in our business and do more with less, then we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest about our clients. We have to be honest about our situation. And I'm sorry, those that are simply just constantly negative toward the clients that they work for, I don't see how that's going to get you ahead. I don't see how complaining is going to move you forward. So my encouragement today, you know what? Keep sending the negative comments. I'm not asking you to not. Okay. Again, I learn from individuals who disagree with me. Send them out. But I would just encourage John and others who sometimes focus on, first of all, things they don't really know a lot about. And that's all of us, by the way. We only know what we know. But those that are working off of a fear-based model, a negative model, those that wake up every morning angry that they continue to have to work for quote-unquote AMCs, or I should say quote-unquote have to work for AMCs, I do believe there's a choice there. I would encourage you to look at things through a different lens. And again, John, I apologize for my immature response. I was being a 6-year-old. You're right, honey. I love my wife, and I'm glad she brings me down to earth sometimes. But the bottom line is, folks, that we can do better, and we should do better. There is so much more that we can and should do as appraisers, and that's my encouragement today. That we're encouraging toward each other, that we look at our situation with reality and not necessarily just the echo chamber of our lives are hell because AMCs exist. That we find opportunities to change the system for the better, but also to be able to work within the system that we have and be able to have a positive and uplifting experience as we do so. That's it. That's all I wanted to share today. I want to remind you that we are, if you're interested in moving your business forward and learning more about these principles of prosperity that I have outlined, we are most of the way through our boot camp in the Appraiser Academy. It's a 12-month course, and you will have access to you do have access today to all of the back episodes of those great meetings, really laying the foundation about how to develop and grow a business that is successful as an appraiser. Join us, won't you, please? Go to theappraisercoach.com and then go to memberships and check out the Appraiser Academy today.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.